Today I'm going to share with you 4 things to help you be a calm parent in tough situations with your kids. Maybe if you're going through a tough season in your life, maybe body training is getting really rough, maybe bedtime when you're tired and then your child refuses to go to bed, maybe in the morning when you're rushing. Those tricky moments, I'm going to share with you what I do personally to be a calm parent at that time of the tricky moment with my twins. And by the way, if you're a neurodivergent parent, this episode is especially for you because I am one as well, and I'm going to share what I do. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Parenting with Understanding podcast. This is your host, Marcela Collier, and let's talk about this topic of how to remain calm in hard parenting moments. But before we go there, let's talk about what people usually do, especially parents who, like you, are trying to transition from yelling, maybe from spanking, from more traditional parenting dynamics to a more respectful approach. And I used to be guilty of all of these. So if you find yourself related to these, I encourage you to give yourself a lot of empathy. So a lot of the times, as parents who are very aware of ourselves, of our triggers, especially of our mistakes, we end up gaslighting our own selves when we feel upset, when we feel dysregulated. So it may sound something like this: Marcela, they're just kids. Don't be angry. It's not a big deal. Or you're making a big deal out of this. Or you're trippy, Marcela. I mean, you shouldn't be angry. We basically denied our own big feelings, thinking or expecting that that will calm us down to assertively respond to our kids. Or maybe we relate our anger, our frustration, our overwhelm, all those big emotions with, this is the sign that you are not a good parent. So if you're gaslighting yourself, that's not the path to calmness. That's not the path to regain authority and regulate your emotions, to be a calmer parent with your kids, because what it does is that it fills us with a lot more anxiety. And then, if anything, if we are not reacting now, we are reacting later on the next tantrum. So, that's one thing that I want to tell you. Don't fight it. Don't fight your big emotions. So, don't fight it. I have one of my clients. She came to me and then she said, Marcela, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it started happening once I started integrating my feelings into my parenting moments with my kids. So now, instead of me running away when I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, I leave it. I leave it as I normalize it for me. I normalize it for, it makes sense why you're feeling anxious, or it makes sense why you are angry. You have not eaten all day, and your child is now telling you that they don't want the red pasta, they want the white sauce pasta, and all you want to do is to sit down and eat your red pasta in peace. So it makes sense. It's valid. Fight that feeling. Don't gaslight yourself. Acknowledge it. Lean towards it and hear it. Listen to it, what it says. So in coaching, if we helped her work through all those dismissive narratives that she had in herself, that, you know what? It came from the way she was raised. It came from the way she was raised. Because the only feeling allowed when she was raised was happy. If you were not happy, If you were not excited about things, then you're not good enough. And there was a clear, let me give you an example. There is a family that they have children and they value having fun and building memorable times with their kids. One of their kids naturally is not into being outdoors and having all this fun in terms of like, she does not find fun in doing outdoor activities, fishing, hiking, things like that. And the parents are more like that. They see, they connect. We are having fun with doing those outdoorsy things. So when she wanted to stay home, she wanted to read a book or just watch a show on the TV, or just listen to an audiobook. At the time when she was little, it might have been the radio. And then the parents wanted to go fishing. Come on, don't be so boring. You're going to have so much fun. Let's go. That's why we do all these things, so we can build memories as a family. So she connected her way of feeling calm, feeling relaxed, her play style, which is relaxation and, doing low-key things. That's what she found fun. She started connecting that with, I am not fun. I am boring. The only feeling allowed is this exciting, happy person. Or maybe there was somebody who grew up, I don't know if this is you, if you're watching from YouTube, let me know in the comments, that the only feeling allowed in your house was happiness. And when you showed something different other than happiness, then you were dismissed, you were gaslighted as well, or you were punished. Don't be so angry. But like, we are in this fun place. There is no place to be angry here. Come on. I heard a mom saying that the other day. I was in the trampoline with my twins, and then her child was having a meltdown, and that was kind of the narrative. We came all the way here to this fun place, and all you want to do is tantrum. So the internalization of that message is the only feeling allowed here is happiness. I cannot feel any other feeling other than happiness, because if I do, then I'm dismissed, then I'm criticized, then I'm shamed, then I'm gaslit, possibly punished. And no shame to that mom. We don't know what we don't know. She was just trying to encourage her 5-year-old to enjoy her trampoline time. And yes, those are my twins in the background. It's summertime. Possibly you hear little voices of twins, doing their thing. So don't fight against it. When you stop fighting against it, when I stopped fighting against my anger, my frustration, and my overwhelm, and started leaning towards it and validating it, seeing what it means, or what this feeling is really telling me, then I started naturally being a lot more compassionate towards myself, which it helped me later be a calm parent in tricky situations with my twins. Right now, I hear that they have conflict at the other side of this room. I'm not going there because Dad is watching them. But that's basically, when they are in their dysregulation, it helps me be regulated, calmer, just because I'm more accepting of my feelings. So that's number one. Number two, ground yourself in the present moment. In my twins, they were like, I would say, they were kind of like, they're starting to walk. One of them was not walking. The other one was already walking everywhere. And I remember one day I was on my yoga mat. I was laying on my yoga mat. And one of my twins, he took his toy airplane and he threw it so hard at my face, and he hit my nose so hard that I truly thought that he broke my nose. So what happened? This triggered big time my trauma because I was raised with the chancla being thrown at me. Sí, me tiraron la chancla. Being raised in a Latino environment, I don't know if you are from another culture, if you saw the flying flip-flop at you, but that's very common in traditional Latino environments, and I grew up in it. So I grew up with feeling hyper vigilant, and that anytime the flip flop was going to land on any part of my body, my face, my nose, my head, my shoulders, my feet, anywhere. And many times it did hit my face. So it immediately triggered that. So what happens when our trauma is triggered? When our trauma is triggered, then we are not thinking rationally. We don't see a little toddler who's just starting to walk and he didn't know that if I drop this toy, he's going to fall on mommy's face and it's going to hurt her so much. All I saw was the pain and the trauma and the hurt, and it was a subconscious process. It wasn't that I was actively recalling when the chancla was thrown at me, but it felt the same. So what happened at that moment? What happened at that moment? At that moment, I reminded myself to stay present. So instead of reacting, I took about 30 seconds to just, I didn't do anything. I just stared at the ceiling fan, rubbing my nose, and I grounded myself in the present moment physically. Meaning, Marcela, what is something you can see? What is something you can hear? What is something you can touch? And I saw my precious 1.5-year-old with his eyes wide open. He was expecting for me to do something. He was in the expectancy. And that's when I realized, wow, I'm in front of a 1-year-old, not in front of an adult who's trying to hurt me. So when I started grounding myself, beautiful things started happening because I started responding from that adult place and not that hurt inner child place. That's something that we work with our clients in HIC parenting, in coaching. They come with their current struggles. I just want to be a calm parent, but when my child hits me, I lose it. And when I see my daughter hitting my son, I lose it. And we dig into those layers of subconscious beliefs and narratives. 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, we find a parent, a triggered inner child coming through at that very specific parenting moment. We see a parent witnessing her 3-year-old son pushing down the 1-year-old sister and subconsciously connecting that moment with the time that his dad pushed down her mom. It's a subconscious and unconscious projection, but it does play a role for how they are responding at that moment to that child. So we work that a lot in coaching so they're able to bring those narratives up to the surface and start reshaping them of what's true at this specific moment, and how can I respond from this adult place and not this inner child place. That's when you start feeling a lot more confident and a lot more you are responding from a healed self, from a healing self and not a wounded self. Number 3, I started using my calming sensory tools. So when we are triggered, when we are upset, we are not in our thinking brain and our limbs prepare to fight or flight. That's our stress response. So our fight or flight could be running away and hiding ourselves in our bathroom because we are running from our anger. Or it could be yelling and snapping. Or it could be freezing and we don't even know what to do. Our arms feel limp. It feels like we cannot move. Do you relate to this? If yes, let me know in the comments or give me a thumbs up if you're watching from YouTube. So when we use our calming sensory tool, which is some kind of tool of movement or thing that you can use to regulate your nervous system, that means to calm your body down, it will help you not move into fight or flight. So for our clients, it varies depending of what they find calming and soothing. For some clients, noise is calming and soothing. For some other clients, put me in a dark, quiet room, and that's calming and soothing for me. For some other clients, put me outside, and that's calm and soothing for me. For some other clients, I just want not to be touched. Okay, so what is it for you? For me, it is stretching. For me, it is a good cry. For me, it is using my noise canceling headphones. I have it here. Let me show it to you if you're watching it. This is my noise canceling headphones. Help yourself in some way, because your upsetness, your dysregulation lives in your body. It's not in your brain. It's not in your thoughts. It's in your body. That's number 3. Once we work with our clients on unveiling those narratives, working on their calming sensory tools, seeing their children for who they are and not the projection of what we're having about what we think on about the past, the projection we're having on past experiences, or the projection that we have of fearing the future. If I don't nip this back talk in the bud, if I don't nip it in the bud, he's going to grow up to be an aggressive teenager, unruled teenager. Projection to the future. Once we work on that and live in the present moment, what's my child needing right now? You are going to start being a calmer parent. I'm going to show you the story of Lindsay. She's one of our coaching clients, and this is what she's saying once she started working on these things.
Through it, then he will, his walls will come down. He's able to see things better too. Like, as I'm trying to correct the behavior or change his mindset about something, he's able to actually tap into it easier instead of being like, no, and he's understanding more. It's
When do you feel? So that's Lindsay. When she broke her cycle of reactivity, her child followed it. Marcela, but where do I start? I have a free class that you can access right now. It's in the description below. If you're watching from YouTube, it's in the description box. If you are listening to the podcast, it's in the podcast description, or go to hicparenting.com. And I show you the systems that we work with our clients to break free from reactivity, bring peace to themselves, and raise emotionally healthy children. So go to hicparenting.com, or it's in the description below, and access this free class. Number 4, once we worked on the inner narrative and the calming sensory tool and being present, then the next, don't fight in our feelings. The next thing, and the number 4, is conscious communication. Conscious communication, choosing how I'm going to be acting or responding instead of reacting. Remember, this cannot happen. We cannot choose how to respond if we have not worked on our reaction first. And it's okay if you have your reaction and then you come back to yourself and you're like, wait a second, I can rewind, and I can do this over again. I do that all the time too, especially having ADHD. Sometimes I'm impulsive and I snap at the kids and I'm like, deep breath, sensory tool, I can do this again. So it's okay if you correct yourself, as long as you're correcting yourself. It's okay. Conscious communication is basically looking what is true and how we can choose to show up at the moment so we are on our children's best interest for learning or for regulation of their nervous system, meaning for them to calm down with us. When we choose the way we respond, then slowly but surely our children's reactivity start to diminish because they are not hypervigilant. They're not expecting the yell all the time. A lot of the parents that come to us, new to us, they are bouncing back and forth between being considerate and calm back to yelling. And then the kids are expecting that really big swing and jump. And their guard doesn't go down. That's why the fights, that's why the power struggles at bedtime. That's why the power struggles in the morning. That's why the power struggles, the fights, the fits. A lot of the times, yes, it does come from their unmet needs. And as well, it could come from being in this hypervigilant state of, I don't know what to expect with you when you're going to yell at me. I was there, bouncing back and forth, feeling guilty after I yelled, and then going back to consider it almost permissive until I learned to master my triggers myself, to break free from that reactivity, not from a place of now I'm perfect, I don't make any mistake, I don't snap ever again. I do. But I bounce back a lot faster. It's not about so much about not doing it again. It's about seeing our progress. I love when our clients tell us it's been a lot calmer. It's been easier. We have bumps on the road, but I have the confidence that we can go through this. Sometimes I yell and then I come back to myself a lot quicker and I don't drown in guilt anymore. You can get to that place as well. And if so far podcasts and self-paced things have not helped you, allow us to help you. The first place to start is go to our free class. And we are going to show you the path that has helped 14,151 of our clients in HIC parenting education. If this podcast episode gave you some light of how you can be a calm parent, would you leave us a positive review? Just open the description. Let us know how this episode helped you, how the Parenting with Understanding podcast has helped you so far. Find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube at High Impact Club. And remember that it only takes understanding of yourself and of your children's needs to transform your parenting. I'll see you next time.